Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pies Presser. Plenty on the agenda tonight. A quick one on Bobby, a discussion about the umpires, McStay versus Cox going into this game, and Will Hoskin-Elliott's retirement. Guys, it's time to talk all things black and white. Good evening, everyone. I hope we are super well. Thank you for joining us tonight. Obviously, thank you for all the well wishes over the last 24 hours. There is two emojis that we've added to the Pies Footy emoji ranks. There, if you are a member, you have access to the emojis. You have one that says lift, which is a simple homage to the catchphrase of Manny in the chat. So there's that. If you want to lift the chat, there is the lift emoji. There is also an emoji of Rosie with a Collingwood bow tie on. So yeah, more than welcome to use that. And yeah, love it. Roses, get your roses in the chat, get your lifts in the chat. You love to see it. So we'll use and abuse those. I love it, guys. Thank you. All right. Unreal. Love that. All right. Let's get into the show tonight. Now, a quick one on Bobby and a little bit of a discussion highlighted by Fly, having dinner with him yesterday and putting down the glass that is the conditioning and rocking up to training, putting that to the side and focusing on his well-being. I think we can all admit last week we were disappointed because we thought he was back. We saw him at training, 2 sessions, 2 main trainings. We thought he wanted to put his hand up. He wanted to go to travel to Adelaide at the very least. We weren't sure if it was the lingering gastro or, which was more unlikely. We weren't so concerned about that. We were more disappointed with the fact that we thought he wasn't selected on the basis of conditioning. So that could still be true. But what we know for certain right now is his circumstances are worsening, seemingly. So we now need to attack this from a space of just give him the time, and we have to move forward because there's a war we need to go to, and we've got a set of soldiers ready to go, and we have to go with what's there, and we can't dwell and mull over the Bobby Hill situation anymore. We just have to hope that he gets himself right. Hopefully what we're hearing in the press isn't entirely true. The fact that he's willing to catch up with Fly for a dinner is positive. You look at it, just scares me because you look at situations like Hugo Hagen, who for the last 12 months has been all over the shop, and it seemed like he was getting back on track. And then you're hearing he's at Love Machine, he's out there, out and about at 2:30 a.m. in season, hanging around probably the wrong people and being right next to a shooting. It's just, I'd like to think that by the timeline that Jamar has been on, you'd like to think he's surrounding himself with the right people, the right mentors. But for him to be that close to a situation at a nightclub, late, drinking, maybe doing other things, it's not what you want. It's not ideal. And I understand everyone has their own battles, but you just hope that even Hugo Hagen gets it right, because to be that close to a shooting, if that's not alarm bells, then I don't know what is. Benny, welcome. Well played hyphen, forever a premiership pie, 32. Thank you for the $32, paying homage to the Guernsey that Hoskin-Elliott has donned for the Pies, number 32. I appreciate that. And we must appreciate Will Hoskin-Elliott. What he's done for the club. He's been a mainstay in the best 23 for the large part of 6-7 years now. I feel like it's been maybe even a little bit longer. He's just always been reliable for the most part. Play him on the wing, play him as a forward, play him as in the back line. I think he kicked 6. His best game was probably the one where he kicked 6 goals against Fremantle. Was it? That was his career best, 6 goals. 2018 was a was a really, 2018. What a season from Will Hoskin-Elliott. There you go. Okay. Yeah. So there you go. That was his best season for sure. Absolutely. Will he get? He misses his farewell game. Well, look, his season isn't, his career isn't over just yet. I would say there's still a chance that he finds himself back in the side because he's so versatile. Yes, he's had a slender year on the stat sheet, but that's what it is, huh? That's what it is. And yeah, he's made the right decision. You'd rather see Will Hoskin-Elliott go out retired on the champion's shoulders, whether we see that or not, but he'll get a lap of honor or whatever it may be. He goes out that way rather than potentially being delisted at the end of this year. So, guys, loving the Rosie stickers. I appreciate it. I love that. Love to see that. And Rosie would love that. So, thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Hoskin-Elliott. And we wish you all the best for whatever brings you after 2025, whether that's at a coaching capacity or maybe something else, whatever it is. What does a spanner mean next to a name? So Manny and Chris and Teresa moderators, and Benny, you have also got the rights starting now. There we go. Done. Meditation. Close, Manny. It's moderation, but meditation. Maybe it's a form of meditation. Welcome to the Spanner team. The team is Spanners, Ben. It's an illustrious group. Umpires. Oh. Looking back at that footage. Now, I'll be quick on this because we're already, 5 days removed from the game against the Crows, but just putting on our objective lens for the betterment of the AFL moving forward. With the handballs and the interpretation of the rules, which allow the game to move more free-flowing because of the lacks around the adjudication or the force of making a decision against an incorrect handball, incorrect disposal, that does speed up the game and helps unclog the contest, the stoppages. So there's that, but it is a fine line because you see games like the Collingwood and Adelaide game where there's genuine throws in situations where you run that back 9 times out of 10, you get those free kicks if the umpires are in the right position. And that brings us to the Marqueen one. That missed call is the epitome of how 4 umpires fails us at times. You have umpires further away who make calls when the nearest umpire who might be even in a better view of what's just transpired and they won't make the call. So there's that. There's umpires overruling each other. There's umpires there can't be 4 field umpires adjudicating the game and not seeing that missed throw from Marqueen. It's a full-time job for the players. The same standard must be met for the umpires. I'd even argue there should be a press conference for them as much as there are for players. I'm bewildered. Like, why do we protect the umpires as if they're an endangered species? I'm not too sure. Shall we talk about McStay? Seeing as Fly has made it clear that he's on the precipice of being dropped this weekend. And if you lose your spot this late in the season, it's going to be hard to recapture that position, especially if Mason Cox comes in against the D's and brings back some form. Am I surprised that Fly is considering axing him? Yes, because I'm surprised, not because he has been playing well. He is not playing. He's been playing poorly. We all understand that. I'm surprised because Fly is pretty perseverant with the players that he selects on a week-to-week basis. Players who are seen to be a mainstay, Mick mainstay in the side. They don't usually get dropped too frequently. So to see and hear that Fly genuinely is open to the idea of dropping McStay is fresh to me. Good or bad, I don't know. Some say Mick gone, some say Mick leave. What's another thought in my mind when we talk about McStay and Mason Cox? We're basically being asked to choose one or two players who have been badly out of form in 2025. McStay's second half to the year has been quiet. Mason Cox has barely had a good game in the AFL, and he's not exactly tearing it up in the VFL, is he? So there is a piece of me that says, hey, McStay, go to the VFL and get your confidence back, because that's what's missing. And Andrea says, good point. Elliott plays better without him there. And that's been, while we've been winning, that's been sort of kicked to the curb, because winning can put a Band-Aid on a lot of potential issues brewing. And one of those could be the fact that, because some people might not understand, but people who watch the game, like you guys, watch every Collingwood game, the issue is with Jamie Elliott is he presents more often than not. Jamie Elliott presents as a 6'5" key forward. Now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, for the most part, when he's up and about, is a great thing. Problem is, if he's running into McStay in a contest, not only does he have to worry about his opposition defender trying to smother him, he has to absorb the contact that he receives from a McStay, from a Myercheck. Membry, I don't see Membry so much so getting in the way of Jamie Elliott, because of his leading patterns are elite and he knows how to stay out of the way. Whereas Myercheck and McStay like to fly for anything and everything. So another thing that's probably leading into the favour of selection for Mason Cox is the fact that we come up against Max Gawn. We know Mason Cox at his best at the end of 2024, for the most part of 2023, he is one of the best tap ruckmen, hit out sort of advantage wise. He's also dangerous forward centre. That connection, that synergy between Pendlebury and Mason Cox will always be there, so long as Mason Cox can come to the party and get sticky hands, get the confidence that he needs. Because all we're asking for Mason Cox right now, if he's selected, all we're asking for Mason Cox right now is to have one good game, and he probably I know this sounds dumb, but he probably keeps McStay out for the rest of the season. Why? Well, because obviously we have a limited amount of games left. And how much more do you want to mix up the team? If we bring in Mason Cox now, you want him to have a good game. You don't want the apple cart to constantly be upset. You want Mason Cox to settle his position in the side for the remainder of the year. And who knows what that does. If he has an incredible final series, he will get a 1-year contract, and he'll accept peanuts. If you hear the still side bottoms of Pendlebury's of the world playing on 300-400, Jamie Elliott sitting on a 2-year contract offer at 500, he just needs to play well, and he will get another spot. He will get another spot for next year. And when players like Hoskin-Elliott come out and retire, it makes list management, it gives it a bit more clarity around who's going, who's outgoing. So we know with a retirement, there's some obvious delistings, but there's question marks around, I'd say, a Markov, a Tom Mitchell, Mason Cox. Now, depending how the rest of the season pans out, if they get back into the squad, who knows if they're granted a 1-year contract or not. That's how fine the line is for some of those players going into next year who actually want to play on. That's McStay. But my question to you guys is, maybe this is an easy one. Let's find out. One, if you would like a prime Mason Cox in the 2025 final series, or would you want a prime Dan McStay going into the 2025 series? So 1 for Cox, 2 for McStay at their absolute best. For me, McStay's absolute best is not better than Mason Cox's absolute best. There's no way. There's no way. We've seen it in final series. We've seen Coxie dominate in the forward half. McStay never really offers that. A lot of ones. I'm seeing a lot of ones. A lot of ones. Wow. Okay. A few twos. Okay. Justifications. from the twos, I want to hear from the twos. What does a prime McStay bring you compared to a prime Mason Cox that has you leaning to number 2? Like Chris just said, I can't forget Mason Cox 2018. I can't forget Mason Cox's final 3 or 4 games last year. I can't forget his season in 2023. What does McStay's best look like? His best game was probably in a final series against Richmond where he played in the ruck for the whole game, where he got coaches' votes. That's probably the only big game I can recall for McStay. McStay is a better kick than Cox in front of goal. I mean, I don't feel that way. Yes, Mason Cox, his accuracy for the most part of his career has been pretty bloody good. It hasn't been great in 24, or 25 as well. Anthony, you were forgetting McStay took apart Stephen May and a Giants fullback in the 2023 prelim. Can't say I remember it. Yep. Prime McStay takes marks 25 meters out directly in front of goal and kicks it. Prime Coxie does the same, but also wins 90% of his tap work and taps to advantage. I think it's unanimous. I think we can all agree that with Mason Cox, with all the tricks up his sleeve at his absolute best, and we've seen it, he's the one we'd want. Benny, thanks for the 5. What are we saying? Not a direct Bobby question. That's all right. All good, all good. Do we move someone dangerous into that role we haven't tried yet, like a Josh, or rotate him and Nick through there? Nick, when he plays in the forward line, he clears out and plays in the goal square. I'm sure he could do similarly to what Bobby Hill does, but are you wasting him there? Because if you're going to reduce him to that role, he probably only has 10, 15 touches. I'd rather Nick playing off the half back. I'd rather him playing through the middle and then have his rest in the goal square. And if he kicks goals there in the meanwhile, great. Josh can do it. But again, do we reduce him to that role? I think, as much as we missed Bobby, I think Schultz, McCreary, and Jamie, if McStay is out as well, I think that will do enough. Obviously, with Bobby, it'd be a lot better, but that is not the reality right now, is it? McStay is getting beaten in the air and on the ground. Degoe, Ben, if Degoe can't play in the middle full time, or like 60-40, 70-30 this season, that's probably, although not the same size, not the same level of agility, and not, Bobby Hill's more of a goal sneak, Degoe is more of a power forward. I think that's probably a happy medium, isn't it? You'd say Cox, Dad? So you're going prime Cox over prime McStay? You reckon? Cox is good depth. Cox will invite his parents to good luck charms. Don't mind that. Play to go in the forward line. Jamie will be 33 tomorrow, so happy birthday. Hopefully that's a good omen going into the game. Cox is good for our system, even if individually he doesn't stuff the stat sheet. That hasn't been the case for the most part this year, though, has it, AB? I can't put Hoskin-Elliott's goal against Sydney because I'll risk getting copyright, and then I will get the stream will be cut off, and then that cooks it. A lot of people in this chat like Cox. Pause. Pause. A lot of Cox lovers here, huh? Love that. Guys, I've just put together some numbers that I'd like to bring forward and talk about a little bit. So some of this you may know, the rest you may not. In the last 5 games, we are last in scoring shots per inside 50. So where it was normally 50%, which is right up there with the best of the best, top 2, top 3, we're now at 33%. And obviously the game against Adelaide doesn't help. But if we extend it to the last 10 games, we are third last for shots per inside 50. For the season, however, and this goes back to trusting the system and what has stood the test of the 2025 season, is the fact that we are still top 5 for scoring shots per inside 50 for the season, behind teams like the Doggies, the Crows, GWS, and Geelong. Surprisingly, Melbourne are 6th in the league. So offensively, Melbourne they're quite active. They're very forward thinking and willing to lean on trying to outscore their opposition to win games, right? So, similar to a Bulldogs, yeah, I'd say. Right now for the season, we are still conceding the least amount of inside 50s across the league. We're second. So we concede around 47 inside 50s per game. Now that, along with the fact that Melbourne, per inside 50, they're conceding a goal more than 1 in 4 inside 50 entries. So we just have to be mindful that with our system working at its best, we're going to expect some sort of barrage coming our way. But you'd like to think, being so stubborn in the back half, we can limit Melbourne's inside 50s and then hurt them going back the other way, considering they are last. I think they're bottom 4 for conceding per inside 50 a goal. Top 3 in defense, but top 5 up front, and we aren't in form. Full side come finals apart from Bobby. Get 4th, boomer on, and that's the biggest. That's the challenge or the goal this week. And unfortunately, we'll have to. It seems like we'll probably have to rely on results. I mean, even if we pump the D's by 10, 12 goals, if Gold Coast don't stumble, then they probably leapfrog us in percentage. But the big one, guys, is Sunday night, Hawthorn versus Brisbane. If Hawthorn beat Brisbane and we do a number on the Ds, we should stay in the top 4. And guess what, guys? We'll probably be traveling back to Adelaide for a qualifying final. And I don't think we'd want to have it any other way. We all want to go back and get that one back, for sure. I love Manny spamming the lift emoji. You love to see it. You love to see it. Lift, Nicole. It's time to lift. I got something on Pendles. Right? 3rd highest rated for the Pies. Wait, let me say that again. Pendles is the 3rd highest rated player for the Pies in the last 5 games. Stiff not to have coaches' votes, considering we've lost most of those games, clearly. He's also 17th amongst midfielders for score involvements. Guys, I'm saying this. If you guys wonder, why are you saying these numbers? Well, age factor. Giving him credit where it's due. 17th amongst mids for score involvements. 6.2 per game. Top 20 in goal assists across the midfield board, along with Nick Dacos and Ned Long. This one is what rides home for me. No one above the age of 30 is in the top 20 for the stats I just mentioned, barring Pendlebury and Tom Liberatore. Liberatore, 33 years old. Pendlebury, 37. So that's why I wanted to mention Scott Emblebury, Scott Pendlebury, Ramani Buyase. You know what I should? Yeah, fine wine. I should make some emojis. Some emojis for Pendlebury. Maybe one for side bottom. Yeah. If you guys have any ideas for what Pendlebury, if you have any idea for an emoji that you'd like to see for the members emojis, let me know and I'll make some. Pendlebury. I'm glad everyone's catching on to that every time Manny says, I say Pendlebury once he says it, and then he goes back to Pendlebury and plays it off like he didn't say Pendlebury. Chat's got jokes tonight. Chat is on tonight. Chat is on. I can't lie. When is the team announced? Tomorrow at 6:20, Justin. Tomorrow at 6:20. Luke, or Matthew, who honestly thinks we're going to pump Melbourne? We just don't do that to bottom teams ever. Well, yeah, that's why it's a scary position to be in. And I think Melbourne are a much better team than maybe what people are making them out to be this season. They've got some firepower. They've got Melksham bothers me. Pickett, Petrarca, Gorn. Internet is fucked. What's this? Internet cuts out. Can you guys hear me? Is everything okay? Just want to make sure it's all good here. Any dramas? What's this? It's a scary position to be in. And I think Mel... Just want to make sure you guys can actually hear me. I got you 100%. Stream is good. Okay, cool. Nikita fight. Nikita Zoo fight soon. I have to give that a sus. Okay. Good. Guys, by the way, 86 here in the chat, in the live stream. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate that. Leave a like while you're here, and if you haven't subscribed, please do so. All good. Guys, have I just started an addiction that is not worth my time? I have not collected AFL cards for 15 years probably. I used to buy the Herald Sun ones. A lot of them. There used to be a way where when you go to the news agency, you can sort of, because the packs were see-through, you could see if there was a special card in there, and you discard any pack that wasn't worth purchasing because you knew it was already in there. You knew whether there was a popular card or not. So this one is from last year. That's a 2024 team coach card, Bobby Hill. Nothing special. But we got this one today. This is 2025 select. Nick Dacos breakout. Can you see that? Come on. Can you see that? There we go. I don't know. I feel like I need another hobby and a costly one. And I think it's going to be cards. So let me know if you got vintage cards? Manny? Nice. Yeah, no, I'm going to get back on it. It just, it brings the kid out of me. That's what I love about that. What else did we hear from Fly in the presser that was of note? So we spoke about Bobby Hill. We spoke about McStay and Mason Cox. Jeremy Howe coming in is crucial. And what I'm so glad about when it comes to hearing Jeremy Howe's name back on the team sheet is he's not having any lingering issues with his concussion, which if we look ahead, that's important because going into next season, you don't want him having any lingering concussion issues or like delayed concussion symptoms or ongoing concussion symptoms, because that might play into his decision of whether he plays on or not. Now, I'm pretty sure Howie has not signed a contract yet. So I'm hoping at some point throughout the final series or even in the bye week, we hear some good news about Jeremy Howe signing on for another year or whatever it may be. But that's the big thing. And another thing, I feel like this week versus last week, but Jeremy Howe coming into the game against the Crows, we'd be looking at him coming in as the bastion, the savant, if you want to call it, the guy who's going to fix everything, which is a high expectation, maybe an unfair expectation to put on him because he's been so great and he's coming back from a concussion, right? That's if he was to have played against the Crows. However, we're going into this game against the Ds where we've corrected a lot system-wise. Our back half looked stable. Our clearance game was on fire thanks to players like Pendlebury and Nick Dacos. That alleviates the burden that Howe would have need to have covered or would have had to have worn going into the game against the Crows. So he goes in and he can just be himself, full stop. He can just be himself and do his thing and do what he's done for the most part of the year. He can slot right back into a Billy Frampton who is stable. Darcy Moore who is better than where he has been. Maynard, Quaynor, Perryman been holding it down for us. I think Jeremy Howe comes in. He doesn't have to worry about compensating for Billy Frampton. He won't have to worry about hopefully compensating for Darcy Moore. So, there you go. What are we saying? 80s Cards has a cheap chewing gum that tastes like cardboard. Cards. A lot of card fans in here. I'm surprised. I'm very surprised. So Bobby's done, asks Nick. So Fly asked Bobby in when he had dinner with him yesterday, he asked, if the media ask me, is Bobby done? Bobby asked Fly to say, just leave a little glimmer of hope, which I don't mind. I don't think we should be ruling him out entirely. There's a lot of things he needs to get right on his own end. He needs to get his life in order, get his ducks in a row. And hopefully he comes back in time. And if he doesn't, he doesn't. It is what it is. It is what it is, guys. He's obviously going through a lot, and more so than where he was a month ago, 6 weeks ago. You spend more on footy cards than super chats, Benny? That'd be hard, mate. That'd be hard. Best chance this year is sub. He won't be fit for anything else. I take if Bobby is available, I'd take him as a sub, but he's not ready yet. Dad, I've told that story many times, but I'll tell it again. So, Dad took me, Chris, and one of my good friends, Caleb, to our first ever Collingwood experience. It was a game against Richmond. I'd say, how old are we? 27. I'd say we would have been 10, so probably 17 years ago, maybe earlier. We were down by 24 points at halftime, and Dad was having an argument with the Richmond supporter. And to save a fight, Dad said, fuck this, we're picking up the bags and we're going home. So as we're walking away from the G, we hear the crowd roaring and roaring, they're coming back. We drive to Warrawee Oval, which is where the Oakley Chargers play. Dad's in the van listening to the footy as me and my brother and Caleb are having a kick where the Chargers play. And you just hear Dad just sort of groaning in a way, like he couldn't believe what he was hearing on the radio, because he's stolen a Collingwood-esque comeback game for our first game ever, for our first ever Collingwood experience. So I'll never forget that. Yeah, I just told it, Dad. I just told it. Yeah, that's the Richmond story. 24 points down. By the time we got to Oakley Chargers, or by the time we were done with our kick in Oakley, Collingwood had come back and won. Forget which year it was. I'd have to look into the archives, but yeah. Van Paul, I'm with you, mate. Look, honestly, for me, I don't care what people call me, because I'm wise enough to know what I am and who I am, and words, I'll never let words affect me. If I let words affect me, I'd be a very sad person. But unfortunately, that's not the world we live in. And if we are, look, I think at the very least, a 5-week suspension is harsh, in my opinion. You probably don't want to hear that stuff on the field. It's probably in the moment, there was an antagonist involved, which we won't dive into. We don't know enough about it. But that's just where I stand, guys. That's where I stand. Yeah. What else we got, guys? What else we got? Luke, appreciate you, mate. People like you make the channel. Be proud, you lucky you grew up eating delicious Greek food. You think the AFL need to codify the penalty before now? Do you mean like narrow it down to, if you say this is a penalty full stop, or? Imagine if you heard saying things like that at your work, Rankin should be out for the year. Here's the thing, comparing what was said on the field versus what happens in your workspace, the environments are completely different. You have to acknowledge, at the very least, guys, I'm not here to change your mind, but you have to acknowledge that in the heat of the moment, when there's so much anxiety, there's so much here and now, there's so much stimulation, the crowd, the players, the moments, you are dealing with a lot more at the highest level. And sometimes you say things you shouldn't be saying. In an office environment, I don't know if you're going to be put in that position ever. But that's another one. It's worse than your first game. In 1981, Dad took you to the VFL and parked all the way from Sale to see the Pies getting smashed by Essendon by 80 points. At least you got to see the full smashing. You know, at least you stuck around to see just in case there's a chance of a comeback. I work in 2 different industries. In one, it's commonplace and nothing would happen. In the other, you would never work in industry again. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to paint. In different workspaces, the leniency is different. The environment, the camaraderie, the dialogue, it's all different. Like if you are a tradie, where you're just hanging around blokes all the time. I'm sure I'm sure there's insults. If you heard some of the insults mates throw at each other on in a workspace like the trade industry, yeah, you'd be crazy. You lose your mind. But that's just how it is. Teresa says there are 100 other insults to call someone. Sure, I see that. And like I said, heat of the moment. Hindsight is 2020. And do people really look? The things that I ponder when we talk about this is, when you say something in that nature, do you really even mean it? Did the other person get affected? Is it the heat of the moment? Did somebody say something to provoke Rankin? Is it a level playing field? Okay, for example, right? Let's say this person said, I hope your mum dies tomorrow, or your girlfriend is a whore, and then someone says back, you're an FAGGOT. What's worse? Like, there's that. Like, let's not narrow our lens and lose our mind over this homophobic slur. Like, context is important. What did that? Why did it get to that point in the first place? Like, if what we're hearing about Houston is true, provocation is no excuse, but it gets you into a point where you're emotionally charged. So many variables. I'm not saying it's right. But can you agree with me that 5 weeks is too harsh? I think 5 weeks is too harsh. Lots of feedback. Hey guys, yeah, all good. Bring the feedback. We're here for it, yeah? We're here for it. We're always going to be an open forum here. You're not going to be looked at any less or any more. Plenty of opinions. I want to hear them all. See, Teresa, find out what pusti means, and Greeks say that as if it's in their natural vocabulary. So that might change the way you think of who we are at Pies Footy, because we use that all the time. Pusti, we use that in a different context. So whether you like that or not, that's up to you to decide. I can't change the way Greeks talk to each other. It's a friendly, as much as you won't be able to as some people won't be able to understand that. It's a friendly thing. 2 weeks, says Teresa. Okay, I'd cop that. How many weeks, guys? How many weeks? Like, are we saying 5? Teresa says 2. Peter says 5 because he's apparently an alleged offender. Malaka means wanker. Yeah, you're going to have to search up what pusti means, though. Daniel, thanks to the 10, brother. Awesome work. Keep it up. Go Pies. With you, man. With you. Difference between banter and sledging. should every sledge be worth the same then? An insult is an insult. That's the thing. Like, context is important. If someone says to me, I hope you go on a stretcher again, or something about the stretcher reference where it was a traumatic incident for Rankin, and he throws back that slur, for me, an eye for an eye, an eye for an eye. I can't accept that one slur or one insult is worse than the other. An insult is an insult. Now, either you treat them as the same, or you treat them as the same and you don't take offense to it and you move on, you shake hands. It was all in the moment. There's that. An eye for an eye. That's where I stand with it, guys. If you play sport, you understand heat of the moment. Context is important. 5 weeks, says Stefanos. 4 to 5, says Tark. Yeah, see, I'm having trouble because you guys are saying a slur is worse than an insult. But what's the insult? Is the insult Houston referring to a traumatic incident that Rankin had to endure last year, where he was knocked out cold? Like, that's a hard one to take for me. That's a hard one for me to take. Houston said that when Rankin collapsed to the ground and staged for a free kick. Yeah, context is important. It's a hot environment. It's a hot environment. We shouldn't vilify him. Look, he's a kid. He's made a mistake. The whole point is, if you're a First Nation person or from the, you have heard this every day your whole life. The hurt is cumulative. Insults are insults. The Pies bring it to the AFL because we know we're going back there in a couple of weeks. I see. The issue is then, why did he not throw this? Anthony, the issue is then, why did he not throw the slur at Houston? What do you mean, mixtape? Sorry. Guys, I'm loving this conversation as well. I want to hear your thoughts. Whether we agree or not is completely and totally fine. That's what we're here for. I don't want anybody here to feel like they can't voice their opinion, wrong or right, or neutral. Okay? That's something we thrive on here. Ella Manny, thanks to the 10. Funny, man. Where's the suspension for getting a wog? This is all bullshit. The fact they're bringing Houston is ridiculous if this was directed at IQ. Look, we don't know. Look, I'm just saying, we don't know the context. We probably will never know. They'll keep that behind closed doors, but context is important. 6 weeks maybe. Milkshake says, my gay friend thinks the world has gone over the top woke, and they don't like Pride Month as it separates society. I know some people feel that way and some don't. So I understand that. I can respect that. If Rankin says he was provoked by Houston, it doesn't make sense that Rankin then threw a slur IQ. Well, I see that if that's the case, mixtapes, let's say that is the case, 100%. He is still emotionally charged, Rankin, and he's in a moment's time, he's charged, he's vulnerable. So then that insult he cops, he wears it on someone else. Someone will feel the brunt of it at some point. I don't like anyone being mean to anyone. It deserves 5 weeks. He is called Q that word, and that's why the club reported it. Quaynor Rankin is playing to play the victim. Taking offense is a matter of perspective. Do we know how the AFL found out by this? Was it vindictive by Collingwood, or did the umpires hear? Yeah, I'm not too sure, guys. Did Collingwood report it? Was it self-reported by the Crows? Was it reported by a fan? Your local espresso, but you have to have standards of conduct in the chat. If you want to grow and be mainstream, can't just be, you can say anything. Espresso, here's the thing. I don't want to be mainstream, because if I'm mainstream, I'm just like every other media outlet who is limited in what they can say. I want this to be an open forum to say anything. That's why we are not mainstream. And if these conversations is what stops the channel from growing, then so be it. I will live with that. I can die with that going to the grave. There are things I stand by, and if it means it gets in the way of the growth of this channel, then so be it. That's who I am. I'm not going to change that to fit the norm, to fit the status quo, to fit in the media machine. I don't want to. I'm sure most of you guys are here because you're sick of the media world. initially reported by Adelaide. People have a right to opinions. We reported it because Rankin has used it twice against us and to the same player. Pretty sure it was picked up on umpires' mics. Rankin has priors with Collingwood players. Last time they swept it under the rug. This time they brought it up. Collingwood leadership mentioned it. Rankin doesn't get a pass because it's finals. I'm certainly... So what I will say is I'm not saying he should get less weeks because it's finals. I'm saying just in general, I think 5 is a bit over the top. Manny hot takes make this channel grow. He's the man, isn't he? I'm here because you don't ball wash. That's almost non-existent. Yeah, I haven't heard what does the what does ball wash mean? I'm not privy to that term. But ultimately, I just don't want to have my hands tied and submitting to mainstream media. Like, it just defeats the purpose of why I've gotten here for the first time. It defeats the purpose of why I came to YouTube. Like, I don't want to be seen as a journal. I don't want to be seen as a media outlet. We're just people who have an opinion, different opinions from different walks of life. Guys, you have to understand that people come from different cultures, different upbringings, different generations with different experience, different interpretations. We are not going to agree on everything, right? But should we let that be the limiting factor as to how we have dialogue on this channel? Do you know what I mean? That's where I stand. Also, if we can't discuss it, then where does that get you? Exactly. Rankin was actually calling out to Fogarty, asking him to lift. Yeah, his tongue got twisted when he said Fogarty and said something else. We're beating the D's by 50 this week. Hey, going into this week, what's some external motivations? Extrinsic motivations. Will Hoskin-Elliott retiring. Jeremy Howe coming back. Like, that's an energy within itself. Your local expressor, you have to have standards, dudes. Sorry, guys, I've got my retainers in. It's hard to talk. You have to have standards, dude. Otherwise, you'll end up with all the extremists, and that's it. Guys, if you think I'm an extremist, goodness, you should not be here. Like that. There's a spectrum. I'd like to think I'm reasonable with my opinions, and if you think that's extremist, then this channel probably isn't for you. You're probably not ready for these conversations. Extremist is crazy. Like, if I don't share the same opinion as the status quo, as the mainstream media, if that makes me an extremist, then I don't have great faith in what's left in this world. Let's put it that way. Why has no one mentioned Tex pushing Bruz under the pack and nearly knocked him out? So where's the consistency there, guys? So let's digress for a moment, right? Why we see some players who are pushing players into contests and getting weeks because of the outcome. Again, Taylor Walker clearly pushes Bruzzy into Fogarty, who gets injured again, who actually hurt himself upon landing because of the push, and Walker walks off scot-free. Like, it doesn't make sense. They said nothing about it. How about a free kick? More inconsistency. Like, not even a free kick in the moment. It doesn't make sense. That's why I never really get stuck into... That's why I don't get stuck into the tribunal stuff, because it's political lawyer warfare. It's who has the best lawyers and who can make the best case, and it's just a bunch of red tape or whatever you want to call it. Cooper says, if we're coming on here being outright racist or homophobic, then we are going to get banned. That's not what Anthony's encouraging. We can respectfully share our opinions and have productive dialogue here. And that's exactly the platform I want to give us all. I shouldn't even have to say I'm not a racist. I'm not a homophobe. I've never offended. I don't have a bad my whole friendship group is a diversity melting pot. I've got Spanish friends. I've got European friends. I've got African friends. I've got Asian friends. I've got friends who are gay. I've got friends who are lesbian. I've got people on my girlfriend's side, their family, gay, lesbian, whatever it is. I'm all for it. But I'm not trying to, how do I word this? I'm simply not racist. I'm simply not a homophobe. It's just an open conversation about everything that exists within that situation that we saw unfold between Rankin and whoever else it was. If we can't have that discussion, then we're doomed. Yeah. Just a person who hates all other teams equally. Yeah, I don't mean to try and defend myself. And as soon as I say I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm immediately defending myself, which is why I tried to not say it, but it slipped out. Welcome, 114 viewers in the chat. Appreciate you all being here. Then I appreciate you all being here. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. If you don't like the provocative conversations we have, then like we have tonight, then it's probably not the place for you. If you allow any racist, sexist, homophobic comments, the only people left here will be the people who are comfortable with that. I think you're missing the point, Espresso. I think you're missing the point. Absolutely missing the point. What's in the safe? You're stimulating a conversation, not taking a viewpoint. Yeah, no one's encouraging, like, yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting. Anthony, can you paint Manny on your backdrop if we win the flag this year? You know, if Manny consents, guys, if Manny consents, I'll make an emoji with Manny's face and we'll put it for the members. Guys, I honestly wish the emojis extended to non-members, but for some reason you can only make emojis for members. So if Manny in the chat says, hey, I want my face as an emoji, we'll do that. Greatness, welcome, Sean. What's the chances on Cox coming in and who goes out? I think Allen's probably close to being an out. It sounds like McStay could be dropped, so it'd be Cox, Howe in, and McStay, Allen out. Allen out. We're here for the footy. We'll make members of everyone if we want the flag. Bloody hell, Benny, you're a madman. Everyone's different. As soon as the world recognizes that, the better we'll be. We're getting there. We're getting better. Massive Coxie awareness this Friday, Orangutan. That's for sure. Love that. Love that. Big Friday night, the big American Cox. USA. Allen stays. See, here's the thing. What do we think about Ned Long? What do we think about Ned Long? Because, look, as much as I think Ed Allen's probably going to make way, do we still make a case against Ned Long? Because his disposal, and it wasn't because of the conditions, his decision making with the disposals he had against Adelaide, he missed a few siders. Like there was a few easy hand passes, a few kicks, like too many check side kicks. Like we see players like, who was it? Will Parker did it. Ned Long does it every week. Seeing Nick Dacos do a check side kick and nailing it, seeing Bobby Hill doing a check side kick and nail it, it's a good thing, but it's a bad thing because it festers in the team and they start to believe they have the same ability to do a check side every single kick and not use a left foot. I'm old school in the fact that you should have your left foot and your right foot. You should be able to play on both sides of the body. It makes you less predictable. And then have the check side up in your arsenal as well. Markov last year, mate, some of the check side kicks he was doing early in the season is probably what got him kicked out of the team. Do we think Port will beat Gold Coast? Hey, look, if there's ever a year or a game that Port could make another team feel vulnerable, it'd be this game, the farewell game for Ken. Everyone loves him, or so it seems. I think that's a danger game for Gold Coast for sure. So we'll be watching that one very closely. Collingwood have games Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's a good one, Lance. So on Friday, obviously Collingwood and the D's. Friday night, Gold Coast Port. Saturday, I don't think Saturday there's games that interest us, right? Sunday is the Hawthorn Brisbane one, yeah? The never handball to a ruckman rule needs to apply it along. Sometimes I'm noticing Ned Long is the last one in the chain, and then he's the one who has to go inside 50. It's crazy that he's top 20 for goal assists amongst all midfielders. But there's games where you just wonder, how is that? But then there's games where you see his handball vision, but in some games it's not there. Is it because his penetrating kick band-aids the precision that's needed, and sometimes those long booming kicks fall in the right hands with enough space inside 50, and that's what gets him all the goal assists? If this goes down to next Wednesday, that'd be crazy, huh? We've got to get our continuity back. Port's injury list is massive. Either way, man. They could walk out with their sample team, and I'd give them a chance tomorrow or Friday, just on the fact that Ken Hinkley being at the helm for 13 years, that's got to bring some sort of energy. Lily's all right. She's at Pilates. Just staying busy. Lipinski's on wobbly ground. He may follow McStay if he has a shocker on Friday night. I don't know if he gets dropped. He could be a sub if he has a unstable game. Yeah, so in my predicted 23 this morning before the press conference, I did not have Mason Cox coming in. But with Mason Cox now in consideration, based on the press conference that Fly had, I think there's going to be 2 changes. I think Port are appealing Wine's suspension. There's a possibility it might rain on Friday again in Melbourne, Emma? Or is this in Adelaide? Tell me it's Adelaide, huh? The thing about the rain is it affects if there is rain, there's an inevitable effect that it will have on our efficiency going inside 50 and the other team, Melbourne. We need ideally dry conditions to get our confidence with our connection going inside 50. This is Long's first year in the role full time. It takes time to develop the fitness. It's a tax for sure. Absolutely. Like that is 100% true greatness. But right now, if he has another lesser game where he lowers his colours, I'm not saying, did he lower his colours against Adelaide? I wouldn't say so, but he was just poor by foot and hand at times. If he has that again, can we wear that going into the final series? But also, who else are you going to play ahead of him? Probably no one, which is probably why he doesn't get dropped in the end. Are you going to this game this time, huh, Emma? Made the trip from Canberra, is it? Hey, mate, from Cranbourne North. Hey, welcome, brother. Is that a Melbourne Storm logo? How are they going this year? Welcome. Pretty sure didn't Storm have a massive upset game last week? Or something like that? Cox balances us out. Cameron, not so good in ruck. Great around the ground. Cox, great in ruck. Pinch hit forward. Some of these stats can be skewed by our first half of season being elite in so many areas. Last 6 weeks is a better sample size, but AB, Collingwood have been an efficient side going inside 50 for the last 3 years, which is why I'm not willing to concede that the last 6 weeks is an indication of how our inside 50 entries will look for the remainder of the year. Is that fair? I think that's fair. Appreciate it, Nicole. Thank you for that. Can always be sub when finals arrives. He'll enjoy the contested nature. Love that. Guys, I just want to bring up again, thank you for all the love and the kind messages you've sent to myself and regarding Lily. It's been a really tough last couple of weeks, and to lose her in my arms at the vet yesterday. It's something I will never forget. My heart will never be my cup. That cup will never be filled up in the same way ever again. Truthfully, these streams help me keep the ball rolling and stay positive and stay occupied. There will be moments where I'll have to sit in it, and that's the quiet times in the day, at night, or on a longer drive, a commute home, whatever it may be. But the messages, the constitution, and the responsibility I have to rock up and share these streams with you guys is what's going to get me over the line. And the stickers there are to help survive Rosie. It's like a kid. She was like a kid, and you know what's tough is one moment she's there, she's present, she's cognizant, and the next they put the IV drip and yeah, she's gone forever. So that's life. It's a lesson. It probably reminds you that we're not immortal. That's God's message, that these dogs only are around for a finite amount of time. And that's just it's a gentle reminder, hey, we're not here forever. So seize the moment, be strong, work hard, and that's what we're trying to do here. So I appreciate you all, seriously. The love has been overwhelming. But yeah. So there we go. Guys, I'm gonna leave it at that. It's been an hour. Great conversation today. I thank you all for sharing today's stream, being here. And we'll see you tomorrow for Moving the Magnets, guys. And as always, go Pies.